Welcome back into the BetQL Network with my co-host Brendan Tobin. I'm the sports machine, Sean Levine, and now we welcome on the champ, the pound-for-pound king. He is Alexander the Great Volkanovski, and I feel like, Volk, I have to ask you a betting question since we are a gambling network. Bro, when the odds came out, I saw them, and I almost had a heart attack. I couldn't believe you were such an underdog. Were you surprised that you were such an underdog on the gambling lines?
Um, no, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't say I'm surprised. Again, I've been underdog my whole life. I feel like, you know what I mean. I've always been undersized, and you know what I mean. People have been down to me forever, and I love that. You know what I mean. I'm sort of happy I am, to be honest, because it's always good because I make my fans and my supporters a lot of money, which is always good. And you know what I mean. Again, that just gets me going and it fires me up. But yeah, that's just how it is. Obviously, I'm moving up and things like that, and a lot of people think it can't be done. Which again, I love that. I love a challenge. This is a challenge, but again, they just forget who I am and what I'm all about, and prove myself time and time again. If I need to prove myself again, I will. So we'll see February 12th how much money I'm making my supporters.
Folk, was there ever a time, you talked about this plan, you wanted to be a double champ and all that. Did anybody around you try and talk you out of it at all? Because you had a good thing going. You finally cemented 145. There were no other questions. Probably could have reigned there for a while. You were cleaning out the division. Was there anybody in your camp that was like, "Hey, are you sure we want to go up?"
No, not really. Obviously, when I had to go there as a backup fighter, obviously we were like, oh, I had a broken hand. I only had like 6 weeks to prepare and things like that. We're like going, oh yeah, should we do this? We've such little preparation. We don't know who we're fighting, all that type of stuff. I'm like, look, I'll do what I can to make sure I'm ready. But I want to cement myself as that number one guy and make sure I get that next shot. I don't want anyone taking that away from me. That's just the type of guy I am, and that's why I did it. So, but now that we had the full camp, we had like 16 weeks to prepare or more, including that little camp that we just did for the backup fighter. It's more than enough. Obviously, people, my team know my ability, so they're all for it.
Volk, how much pride do you take in not just being champ and maybe in a couple of weeks champ, but being the pound for pound best fighter on planet Earth? Because to me, that's the most badass title any human could ever have.
Yeah, it is, man. And you're not wrong. And then, here I am really putting that to test, right? Like, I believe, people put me there again. It's not up to me to say I'm pound for pound, whatever, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna keep proving myself time and time again. People got me there already, and I'm gonna show them why I am pound for pound as well. So yeah, it's definitely it's incredible to be there. But at the same time, I'm still the same guy I always was, and with I like to go and get them goals and take them on and things like that. And I could sit there and try and protect things and all that, and not really try and challenge myself and take easier fights and all that. But that's just not who I am. That's not what's got me here. That's not how you get better. That's not how you leave a good legacy behind. And again, that's just not what I'm about. So here, bring on these challenges, and I'll show you why you have me as number one pound for pound.
Talking to Alexander Volkanovski, of course, by his fight against Islam Makhachev coming up next week. ESPN Plus pay-per-view starts at 10 Eastern time here. Weird time for you guys over there in Australia, so we appreciate the time change for that, Volk. How surprised or unsurprised are you? Because you said you're used to doubt. How surprised are you that it felt like Islam wins basically one fight on the big stage? Everybody puts him in this invincible category. You have to wipe out Max Holloway 3 times before it feels like you get your flowers. I mean, what is your reaction to that whole thing?
Oh man, that's just how it is, man. Like, there was a lot of hype on Charles, and sometimes you go out there and take the hype straight off him. You know what I mean? Again, I've got a lot of respect for Charles. He's a great fighter, but he was always a beatable champion. That's how I look at it. Again, I go to details. I really understand the game, and I had Islam winning that fight. I was pretty comfortably before they took that. So it was no surprise to me, but it was a surprise to everyone. And then again, I like that. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh no, don't you feel disrespected? Who cares? You know what I mean? Now all this hype is on him. They got me as an underdog, all that. I get to take that all away. You know what I mean? But one thing that I don't like is when people will try and change a narrative. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hype around Islam, and I don't want people to forget that when I get my hand raised. So, you know what I mean? You really want to put him where he is? Okay, sweet. No worries. He's that good. Remember that. And then that's going to make this fight and this win even bigger for me because of how you guys, put him on that pedestal. Just remember that when I get my hand raised.
Volk, we bring a lot of fighters on the show. Obviously, that's what we do. But when we bring on the all-time greats, I'd like to ask them, who do they think is the all-time great? And it's very relevant, obviously, because Khabib is not going to be in the corner of Islam for this fight. Where do you have him amongst the all-time greats? And who do you think is the best fighter of all time?
Oh, man, he's obviously a great fighter, you know what I mean? And what he did, being undefeated and all that type of stuff, a lot of people might touch on the names and all that, but to be undefeated for that long, you got to remember big weight cuts, injuries. It's pretty incredible. He had a decent run as champion as well. But you got guys like GSP and George St. Pierre and all that type of stuff who's done some crazy things and champion for so long, defended so many times. Your Aldos, your Anderson Silvers, and things like that. You got to remember them guys as well. You know what I mean? Especially in them divisions in that time and things like that. I believe they're probably some of the goats, but definitely Khabib is right up there to stay undefeated and do what he did was incredible. But for me, your Demetrius Johnsons, your Aldos, your GSPs, and Anderson Silvers. Obviously, you got your John Joneses, and then there's always that thing when John Jones' the name gets up, but I won't get into that. But I mean, you've got some great fighters, but Khabib's right up there too.
Do you recognize how close you are, if not already on this list?
Oh man, again, that's not up to me. But at the same time, I'm doing the right things. You know what I mean? These are the things you need to do. Take out guys like this. You know what I mean? Challenge yourself. Overcome these challenges. Again, there's going to be a lot of people that think it can't be done. When I get that done, remember that. You know what I mean? A lot of people can have long streaks, but let's remember who they fought as well. You know what I mean? I'm on an incredible run right now. Look at the names that I'm doing and look at the guys I'm not dodging. You know what I mean? I'm fighting whoever the champs are, whoever the number one guys are and all that. No matter how big the challenge is, I'm taking them on. And if I keep with that streak alive, you just remember them names as well. You know, I don't want people to forget that. But it's not up to me to be throwing my name in go conversations and all that. That's up to everybody else. But fighting guys like Islam and things like that for the champs and all that, that's really where people will really take notice.
But champ, you had to be proud, and how proud were you that we saw a lot of greats fall this year, man? Like we saw Kamaru fall, we saw Izzy fall, and these are guys that are also in those conversations. And you're like this last man standing. You kept that run. Like how much pride did you have in that? After a crazy year, we saw these endings, and you were still standing tall.
Yeah, man. At the end, obviously, I'm proud of what I'm doing, but I'm not proud of other people's failures and stuff like that. Obviously, I've got nothing but respect for them guys, and they were great fighters. Your Usmans, and obviously Izzy's my boy and all that. So that hurts to see that type of stuff. And you don't want to, be the best because of other people's failure. You know, I mean, that's not how I am. I want people to remember what I'm doing to put me up there. You know what I mean? So, and that's why taking on these fights and stuff like that, earn that number one spot. I believe I earned that number one spot. But I mean, taking on guys like Islam, you can't take that away from me. So, I can't wait to go out there and do what I've said I'm going to do. And again, have that belief. I've got that belief in myself. I'm preparing myself accordingly and doing what I need to do. No stone left unturned. Let's go and get it.
Volk, before you get out of here, I'm sure that when you go to bed at night, you kind of have visions of this fight going. How do you see it turning out on Saturday night?
I mean, obviously seeing my hand raise. Again, I know I'm doing what I'm doing. I know positions that I could be in. I'm in there every day in the gym, putting myself in these bad positions, uncomfortable positions, just in case it gets there. So I'm the type of guy, I don't just vision me hand getting raised and celebrating and all that. I envision details and little fights and things that I can capitalize on and all that type of stuff. So when I'm in these positions, I can make these certain things happen. I've seen it before, I've felt it before. You know what I mean? Even in my head and things like that. So man, I've seen so many different things, and obviously, yeah, it's hard not to listen to music and then see your hand getting raised and celebrating and all that, and getting them butterflies and all that. Obviously, I've felt all that type of stuff, but feeling those things and going and doing it are two different things. So at the end of the day, I still need to go out there and do what needs to be done. And that's just how I've always been, and I always get it done. So I'm going to make sure I do what I need to do to make it happen.
Champ,
Champa.
Why,
Go ahead, BT.
Why are you swimming with sharks before a fight? That seems very dangerous at any point. Was this recent? And if so, why, Champ? Why are you swimming with these monsters before a fight?
Oh, mate, going there, holding your breath underwater. Yeah, I can hold my breath for 1 to 2 minutes, even with sharks all around me. So one way to keep composed. You know what I mean? Like if that ain't taking the wind out of you, nothing will. So that's just it. It's an Aussie way. Wrestling crocodiles, swimming with sharks, and playing with poisonous snakes.
Yeah, you saw Izzy like jumping into that ice. You're like, oh, you think Russia's so tough? How about this? We'll swim with monsters.
Yeah, exactly right. A lot of people do the ice baths. Go swim with some sharks.
Volk, thanks so much, man. And I know you won't say it, but I think if you take out Islam Makhachev, especially as a plus 3-1 underdog, everybody's going to have to start putting you in that GOAT conversation. Like, this is the one, man. You get over this, and everybody starts to say, this is one of, on the very short list of the greatest fighters of all time. I can't wait to watch, man. Thanks so much for your time.
That's no worries at all. That's why I do this. Again, that's why I challenge myself to really separate myself from the rest. Again, it's just how I've always been, and people will remember that. People remember exactly what you just said then, and that's what it's all about.
Good luck, champ. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Volk.
Thank you.